Who was one of the players was talking about like what a big pain in the ass it is. Yeah, no. Nobody wants him there. Nobody wants him there. At the twilight's last gleaming, whose brush stripes and bright. Do you think the singer knew that they weren't booing him, that they were booing freak ass Donald Trump? Do you think Trump thinks that they're cheering for him? Let me see if I can find what I was looking at earlier. Well, Stephen A. Smith was going in on Trump being there. It was one of the, Spurs guard. Here it is. Spurs guard De'Aaron Fox talks about all the extra security measures the team has to go through with Donald Trump attending tonight's game.
A little earlier, so it's just New York City. Yeah, I mean, it's New York, so regardless of who's here, like it's gonna be loud, it's gonna be rowdy. I think the president being here just makes it inconvenient on everybody else. Like we got obviously more security. We got like send stuff early. I think our buses are a little earlier, so that's that. Other than that, when you come here and you play against this team, regardless of like if they're good or when they're not, like it's gonna be a building that comes ready to support the team.
So the Secret Service took the lid off my chapstick.
I feel like if enough people say we don't want this loser here, then they should be able to prevent him.
Are you guys having to go through the
Jim Dolan be damned.
We're like the less stuff you can bring, the better. Obviously, we're getting screened like it's TSA. It's little inconvenient for the people that's got to play, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Trump forces himself into another dressing room. No fucking way. Is it true your locker room access is being restricted so he can go in there? Last thing they need before this game is the distraction of the circus traipsing through their locker room. Yep, first time all season, no pregame locker room access for media. What? Ew. Ew. Get a job. Stay away from her. Her being all of us, and a job being not President of the United States. Yeah, you can really hear the booze in this one. I know. I feel bad for the singer too. Hopefully he knows it's not him. It's literally Donald Trump. It's not you. It's Donald Trump. Seeds, thank you for the 34 months. Archimedes, thank you for the 18. Micah, thank you for the 35. Cup of pasta, thank you for the 25. Dee, thank you for the bits. Mananga-san, thank you for the 35. Elifaba, thank you for the 19. Yes, you are getting a stream tonight. It's not going to be a super duper long one. Okay, here's another angle. Yeah. Oh, Trump. He's had a not so good couple of days. A judge ordered that federal judge ordered that his name has to be removed from Kennedy Center branding. So the Kennedy Center website no longer includes Trump. Sorry, got to follow the judge's rules. Sorry. And then with Iran striking Israel, and Trump is like having to now pretend like he's in power here and that Netanyahu's not the one who has the say and it's him, and then getting booed at Madison Square Garden after he was personally invited by his good friend Jim Dolan. The singer is Avery Wilson, who plays the Scarecrow in The Wiz. Yeah. Ain't nobody want Donald Trump. You know, I'm not kidding you. If the Knicks don't win tonight, it is absolutely Donald Trump's curse. The curse of Donald Trump being there at Madison Square Garden for game 3 of the NBA Finals. The curse of Trump. And they are down by 12 right now. Oh no. Every single Nazi in my arena wearing a Knicks jersey. What did I do to deserve this? Sneeko got in early for game 3. See, the problem is that these assholes have money. That's the problem. So that's how they're there, because they can buy tickets. Fucking Sneeko. They've been down by more in every game of the series so far. Just like the LA mayoral race. It ain't over till it's over. I'm not despondent. I'm okay. I feel like there's still a lot of game to go. It's not just basketball he's ruining. It's also soccer. Oh, isn't this this is Senegalese delegation gets this treatment on arrival in the U.S. Full tarmac searches, shoes off. Bags turned inside out like criminals. A straight up humiliation and disgrace. They'd never put white boys through the same. Dude. Well, I think he
walk of shame.
I think he also
folks.
got booed. Yeah, Brazilian fans chanted, "Hey Trump, go fuck yourself" during the American anthem in match between Brazil and U.S.
Execução do hino dos Estados Unidos, que vive momento também muito patriótico, né? Comemorarão agora em junho.
They have babies on the field too. Oh yeah, Somali referee for the World Cup was not allowed to enter the U.S. Yeah, and then Iranian Football Federation members also had visas denied because we just do full-on racism here in the United States, no matter what. Like whether you are an Iranian footballer or not, we just doing racism up in here. Players have to fly in for every game instead of moving them to Mexico. That is so fucking ridiculous. So ridiculous. And then obviously puts them at a disadvantage having to travel that much. Oh, are you scared? Oh, Farley is not having a good time today. Far. He's having a really bad day because earlier, so my friend is staying here for the first couple days and she has her dog who's very sweet, but is a very big dog. And earlier when she brought her over, Farley, so her dog accidentally tripped on these shoes and then Farley got caught underneath the dog and the dog was trying to scramble and Farley was very dramatically thinking that the dog was attacking him. But he also did this thing where he immediately submitted and then was also like, "Rah, rah." I'm like, Farley, this is an accident. He's being very dramatic. My friend's dog was not being aggressive to him. He thought he assumed that this dog was trying to get him to submit, and then the dog tripped. And yeah, I know. And now you're really upset, and now your dad's probably scaring you because of watching the game. I'm just saying, Farley came in here and is like, "I'm having a bad day." Why are you coming in here now? What's going on? I'm actually not talking shit.
Not scaring anybody.
I am actually not talking shit. You caught me at. You are the one.
That's right. You don't want me to tell him.
Go away from me. Go. He's not happy.
He's never happy.
Oh God. Oh God. I feel like I've been doing 1,000 things at once today. It's one of those days because we're gonna be gone for a week and we're flying out tonight. So Farley panicky. I was like, I can't deal with this right now. He is never happy. Gingerbread, thank you for the 45 months. Seeds, thank you for the 34. Anyway, we'll never bush check. You shaved your bush? He didn't respond. Yes, we are going to New York City tonight. You're taking a red-eye flight. So I didn't post my schedule in the Discord because I don't know what the schedule is going to be this week. Yeah, but we're going to Mumdanistan. Everybody outside of New York, I feel, is having FOMO and needs to be in New York. So speaking of New York, we had the Tony Awards last night. There's just
In the room, Jamie.
there's so much going on in New York. And I would say the big moments from the Tony Awards is that Scott Rudin's hold on, I need to close the door.
Let's move on to
Scott Rudin's Death of a Salesman revival. We were talking about Scott Rudin last night. Won big, but nobody mentioned Scott Rudin because Scott Rudin is a monster. And this was his return to Broadway, and he won a bunch of Tonys, and
Broadway's
nobody
biggest
mentioned
night.
him.
It's the 79th annual Tony Awards. Pink, as you know, host
Has been.
contributor Jamie Wax, who's also a Broadway.
Okay, last thing though is that now what happens is like it's okay, y'all. Okay. So unfortunately, in trying to not have another Chadwick Boseman moment, and also trying to, I think, be more aware in how we talk about women's bodies. Now, what's happening is in this current era where, once again, there are alarmingly thin bodies being pushed as the standard in Hollywood. We have totally moved on from the body positivity movement. We're like, not doing that anymore. And we are now back in this era of very, very thin bodies being the standard. And that is something that we can't ignore, but it also requires sensitivity because of the problem of always talking about women's bodies and creating these standards that are impossible to achieve. But a lot of Ariana Grande fans are like, don't say anything because you're doing the thing where you are assuming and you never know if it's. So I'm just saying it's a health condition either way. And I understand there are people like Erin Moriarty who was going through an autoimmune issue and didn't know what was happening there. But then there's also people like Karen Carpenter who died from anorexia, and nobody did what was needed to get her the help that she required. So this is one of those topics that I get the requirement of nuance and sensitivity. And there is a difference between addressing something that is a prevalent issue in our society, but also not doing so from a way that is mocking, that is like being, contributing to creating impossible standards for women and always talking about like women just cannot exist without being scrutinized. And so I would hope that people recognize the difference there. And I think what we're seeing again in Hollywood with this trend of very, very, very thin bodies is concerning because we have been here before. It's not that this ever really went away, but for a moment there, we had conversations around thinness and standards that are pushed by an industry like Hollywood. And now it feels like we can't have these conversations because it's also that stans are using that as an excuse to not have their faves like potential health problems here, which an eating disorder is a health problem. I am not going to state with 100% certainty what is the case, but stans will use that to push away any conversation. Thank you, Caroline. I'm very self-conscious of my weight with my health currently. I've been trying since February to get out of the 90s, but I'm still maintained, which is both good and bad. And I understand that not every person who has a thin body is that is the case because they have an eating disorder. I get that people have naturally thin bodies, that they struggle to gain weight, et cetera, et cetera. But when we talk about an industry like Hollywood, where people are subjected to the most impossible of standards, it does produce concerning behaviors. Like, I have been in this industry. I know the pressures. I am considered fat. Like, I am considered fat in Hollywood. I have been told to my face that I am a big girl in Hollywood. I know what it's like. And I'm not even an A-lister. I'm not even somebody who is all over the magazines and my weight being talked about. But I'm trying to say, like, this is the reality of Hollywood. So this idea that celebrities, especially celebrity women, are not once again turning to this trend of very scarily thin bodies is kind of, it's ridiculous to like pretend that that's not the case. So I am not putting the blame on individuals. However, we need to acknowledge people who are in a position of influence. So when you are in a position of influence and you have young fans, like I remember how many times have we had these conversations about growing up in the 2000s, seeing really, really thin bodies being promoted to us as what we should all look like. Like, that is what is normalized, but also that is a result of these societal standards and the constant scrutinization on women. Like, women can just never be good enough, never good enough. You know, it's like, I get too that when they do lose weight, when they are thin, then they're still being discussed. As an Ariana fan since 2011, we all know she's been struggling with eating her entire adult life. People suddenly acting like it's outrageous to assume she's anorexic is incredibly disingenuous to me. A lot of the signs are there. Okay. A lot of the signs are there. Posting, dinner heart with just cucumbers and, a handful of cucumbers and a couple strawberries. Like, any of us who have had an eating disorder or who know people of eating disorder or who have just are aware of disordered eating and how prevalent it is in our society, you recognize what's going on, but also are cognizant of not wanting to contribute in a worse way. Because one thing with disordered eating is that saying things like, that person looks like a skeleton, they look like they're dying. Disordered eating is such a mind fuck that somebody who is struggling with an eating disorder will take that as reinforcement for what they are doing, that it is something that motivates them, because that's not something that is going to make them go, oh, that's concerning. Oop, I need to do something here. That's achieving what they are seeking to do because it is a form of control. Anyway, sorry. it's one of these conversations that no matter how you try and address it and to be aware of all the things and take that into account and have a nuanced discussion here, you're still going to be hit with the like, you're doing the thing. You're talking about women's bodies. You're doing the thing. You're assuming. You never know if she's sick. I'm like, here's the thing. That's why I'm saying whatever is happening here. And for years, signs have pointed to her having an eating disorder, which is not unusual for being in this industry. So many people have an eating. Now men, like the way that men's bodies are the standard of 0% body fat. So you used to have men's bodies that were considered like the quintessential action, kind of leading man type body. And now they are subjected to this incredibly ridiculous, impossible to achieve standard. So yeah, you look at Bruce Willis in Die Hard in the 80s, and then you look at you look at actors who are character actors and they have 0% body fat now. Every guy is taking performance enhancing drugs, testosterone, anti-balding medication, Viagra, etc. Yeah, all the Marvel guys, that is part of the Marvelification of Hollywood. That is one aspect of it. I didn't know that about anorexia, that calling out the person paradoxically encourages the behavior because it's a type of positive reinforcement of the condition. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Eating disorders are, they're a real bitch. They are a monster that, unless you have been in the throes of one or you have experienced people close to you who have struggled with eating disorders. I mean, to a degree, many of us have an unhealthy relationship with food and our bodies, have some form of disordered eating, even if it's not like, even if it doesn't fall under the definition of an eating disorder. But it's all the like, oh my God, you look so skinny, even something like that, and the reinforcement from that. And it doesn't matter how you've gotten skinny. It's the reinforcement from somebody acknowledging that. It's very complicated because it doesn't take much to trigger you. Right. When you're in your 40s, that cycle of binge and gain really fucks up your body. I'm just now getting into a better cycle of losing 2 pounds a month. But that doesn't stop me from hating how I look, even though my wife prefers the dad bod. Yeah, and it's something that you can find yourself in the throes of without really having even meant to without even having meant it. And yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot in this conversation, but the reality is that beauty standards and just how much more impossible they have become to attain because of social media, because of plastic surgery and fillers and Botox and Facetune and AI now, that that hasn't gone away. Also, not so fun fact, 8 out of 10 female K-pop trainees stop menstruating due to extreme dieting. Yes, they force K-pop stars to have eating disorders. Like, you are not allowed to have agency over your body whatsoever. They practically make you in a lab, and you have to fit certain measurements as a K-pop star. Yeah, it's terrible. Fable Gray. Fable Gray, thank you for the 43 months. Lemonade Turd, thank you for the 2 months. Are the Knicks up? See, told you. There's lots of game left. Knicks game. Let's see. 52-50. Quarter 2. Okay, they've closed the gap. They've closed the gap. All right. So anyway, that's my jumble of thoughts on that. It is frankly a topic that I hate having to talk about. As I said, no matter how you try and approach with such care and not approach from kind of judgmental and like not actually true concern, but performative concern, people will still get upset. And people also, I think they confuse they confuse like the way to approach this conversation and have resulted in this concluding that like there's just like you should not talk about it at all. Of course people want to hate. Yes. Of course. Brunson down. Oh no. What happened? Injury? Wemby shoves Jalen Brunson. Or is that fake? I don't know. Hey Larger, thank you for the 28 months. Can we get a Will update before he goes nonverbal tonight watching the Knicks? He will. It literally wasn't Wemby. I googled Brunson. The first thing that pops up, Wemby shoves Jalen Brunson, then laughs as he doesn't retaliate. Fake news. Manufactured drama. Will is, I don't know. He's watching the game right now. I don't know what he's doing after that. And you know, if he goes live, that he's still going to be watching the game.
One, I can understand why. Watch this play. This is what frustrated Brunson. Oh, whoa. That's, excuse me, that should be a flagrant one. I can understand why Brunson, and then Wemby's laughing at it. And watch this play. This is what frustrated Brunson. Oh, whoa. That's, excuse me, that should be a flagrant one.
Wait, that's a clear flag? What do you call it? Violation? Free kick? Yellow card? Hey, you can't do that. Hey, wait a second. Did you see the clips of Trump getting booed? Oh, yes, I saw all the clips. Okay, let's briefly talk about the Tony Awards, which I know nobody cares about because you got the fucking Knicks playing in the finals, but the Tony Awards happened last night. It's a strange time on Broadway. Namely, musicals are struggling. There were only 6 new musicals last year, and those are usually what drive the ticket sales, but it's been tough. Shows cost a lot of money. They are not recouping costs. They are relying on stunt casting. It's been difficult for it's been difficult for Broadway actors to be getting consistent work because of the reduction in shows and new shows, and also the emphasis on stunt casting. So it just kind of felt weird. Schmigadoon. I can never say it. Schmigadoon. That's Schmigadoon. Yeah. Schmigadoon won Best New Musical, which, okay. And then Ragtime won Best Revival. So there also seems to be something with kind of a callback to the golden era of musicals. I don't know. It's a very strange year.
Playwright is here with all the highlights. Looks like, honestly,
So Schmigadoon is based on the based on the Apple show that ran for 2 seasons and then didn't end up getting a third. But Ragtime is Ragtime's an old one. That is a very beloved show. It is still resonating with audiences 3 decades on. Stunt casting is putting someone who's famous for something off Broadway to be in a show to sell tickets. Stunt casting is casting someone like Trish Paytas in a role in beep bop. Why can't I think? Beetlejuice. Yes, thank you.
came from the theater.
Or Meg, and I'm not saying I don't love people like Meg the Stallion, but that is stunt casting. Putting Meg in a performance to drive ticket sales. So that is just something that Broadway is doing more and more. It's not just in musicals, it's in plays as well.
Right to us.
I kind of rolled in this morning, as I usually do.
Yeah, casting Charlie D'Amelio.
Yes. What was it like in the room, Jamie?
It was electric. It was really, really fun. I think in difficult times especially,
Yes.
all of the arts are needed and appreciated more. And no one appreciates the fact that they have their special place in this world more than the people who create them. So it was a night for celebrating creation, I think.
Do you have a piece?
Yes. Actually, it was an interesting season, too, Gail, with only 3 new musicals eligible for top honors compared to the usual dozen or more in a typical year. And none swept the Tonys, with Ragtime, Schmigadoon, and The Lost Boys all picking up 4 awards.
Schmigadoon is basically Will Neff's nightmare, where he goes on a backpacking trip and then stumbles across a town that is like a 1950s.
Every artist in this room, every artist at home, fight to be heard.
When it comes
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I think Pink did a great job. Shockingly, when I read the announcement of her being the host of the show, I went, "Really? Pink's never even been on Broadway." She did a good job. I just kind of can't look past Pink's awful comments.
To straight plays, Arthur
No, she's
Miller's
never been
Death
on
of the
Broadway.
Salesman was the biggest winner of the night, picking up 6 Tonys, including Best Revival of a Play.
Oliver always thought the highest to him. Will you let me talk? Liberation.
And it was a historic win for Bess Wall's Pulitzer-winning Liberation, about a feminist group in the 1970s.
That it has been almost 40 years since an American woman playwright won this award.
at night, and you know, nearly 15 million people saw Broadway shows this season.
I feel like all the 10 contenders for Best New Musicals is all making fun of the genre, just impressive stage tech, but terrible script. Like, we know people think musicals are musical. Can we get back to making earnest musicals about real issues? Yeah, I mean, there definitely seems to be a fear right now in risk taking, and just the fact that there were significantly fewer new musicals this year is not a good sign.
That's good.
It's kind of amazing. So,
But this is what the Tony Awards do, I think. It makes you, even if you weren't planning to go see, for instance,
You see
I
Hadestown
wasn't going to go
coming to
see
big
Giant
screen?
because I thought nothing can beat Nathan Lane.
Yeah, what? Why are you stomping in here? What?
Nick's going to halftime up 7.
I told, see? I'm going to make you go to Schmigadoon for real. You're going to get...
Everything I did for Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson is my doctor. Jalen Brunson is my subway driver. Jalen Brunson is my dad.
He is growling right now. Do you hear him? He's growling.
He's growling at me, so.
Oh, I thought he was growling.
No, I'm not doing anything.
I just heard him growling. Oh my God, this is chaos. Slattern, thank you for the 5 gifteds. Thank you. Lord, get in here. Come here. Just trying to talk about the Tony Awards.
Was my thinking.
Right.
Now, after watching last night, I now want to go see that. But it does make you think, okay, I keep hearing
Dragon
about Lost
Army,
Boys
thank you
too.
for the
Now I want
5
to see that.
gifteds.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the Tonys is all
These
about. I
Wills get
remember
me
as a
subs.
child in Louisiana, the Tony Awards were one of the reasons that I knew I wanted to work in the theater.
Oh,
and
nice.
CBS Sunday Morning was another big reason. But those were the only ways in my isolated life that I got to see Broadway. And,
I get it.
now it's the way many people plan their trips to New York, their summers, their holidays, is what they see on the Tony Awards. It's really
Can
important.
I say happy for Joshua Henry?
What a
I wanted him
talent.
to win so badly.
There were moments in there where you could feel the love from this audience for people.
What's wrong with Lithgow? His comments on the whole J.K. Rowling transphobia thing.
Who have done great work being.
That's happening.
I think someone's making those calls today.
So essentially similar to Hollywood, in order to, because they are afraid of taking risks and there has been a slump in profit, they are relying instead on established IP rather than original stories. So as we've seen in the film industry, we are seeing similarly on Broadway. And yeah, these shows cost. Caroline? Yes.
Jess is going over to carving board. If you wanted a sandwich for the trip, what kind of sandwich would you want?
Aren't we gonna eat on the plane or no? Sure. Oh, are you getting? Are you?
It's your stink butt back in there.
Is
An epic spectacle, unlike.
Okay. All right. Okay. Tony Awards takeaways. Dramatic Millennial. Thank you for the 2 months. Hogan, thank you for the gifted. All right. Death of a Salesman, a radical revival that restages Arthur Miller's classic in a garage, was the big winner with 6 prizes, while Schmigadoon, The Lost Boys, and Ragtime each earned 4 statues. But no single show dominated the evening. Instead, it was a night that rewarded stage veterans like John Lithgow, Shoshana Bean, Lost Boys, and Joshua Henry for Ragtime, as well as newcomers like Alden Ehrenreich. And it was a history-making ceremony with Liberation's Bess Wohl becoming the first female playwright in 38 years to win Best Play. That's one of those like, yay, but also, 38 years? Are you going to see Lost Boys? Probably not this trip. While Apple, which produced Schmigadoon, became the fastest streaming service to complete an EGOT. So here's some takeaways. Death of a Salesman triumphed on Sunday, winning the award for Best Revival of a Play, but one of the show's leading creative forces went unacknowledged for good reason. Death of a Salesman marked the return of Scott Rudin, the superstar producer who spent 5 years in exile after investigative stories were published about his abusive behavior with staff. One example being that he broke a keyboard over a female assistant's hand. It's customary to name-check the producer of a show in an acceptance speech, but neither Joe Mantello nor Laurie Metcalf mentioned Rudin when they picked up their statues for Best Director and Best Featured Actress. When the show won Best Revival, Nathan Lane, its star and not one of its producers, rattled off a list of thank yous and again didn't mention Rudin. Heading into the night, award watchers wondered whether Rudin backlash might deprive Salesmen of top prizes, but that is not the case, and instead people just did not mention it.
Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of...
So this, I don't know, there's just a lot going on here. One, the fact that Death of a Salesman won so many prizes last night, and it was the return of Scott Rudin to Broadway, which was already a controversial announcement when it happened. Scott Rudin not being mentioned in any of this, and also the fact that Death of a Salesman is a critique of capitalism, specifically capitalism post World War II. It is one of Arthur Miller's most famous plays, and it basically skewers the myth of the American dream. So I don't know, just the fact that it was that play that was revived and won a bunch of Tonys, making Scott Rudin one of the biggest winners of last night because he is the producer on that, but also that Scott Rudin's name was nowhere to be found because he is such a fucking monster. His return was in October with a different Laurie Metcalf play who seems to be driving him back to relevance. Yeah. Constantly reusing it to make safe profits is ironic. Yeah, and then there's also that as well. It's one of those plays that just wins all the time because it's one of the greatest plays ever written. And so I don't know, just the fact that it is a very, very profound critique of the capitalist system and how the main character has this unwavering belief in the American dream and that you just have to work hard and be popular and look good, feel good, and be talented, and you will succeed in this world. And the fact that this play, they revive every time they need a sure hitter. Stop! I don't know, just irony in there somewhere, you know? Okay, let's take a look at Ali Louis Borzoi, who won featured actor in a musical for The Lost Boys. Here is his speech.
Lens outside of ourselves to look at and explore questions about our own nature. Vampires represent those who have shunned their own humanity in order to achieve.
This is probably better. So unfortunately, she ate that. So, yeah. So, yep.
To begin this morning, close up on one of tonight's leading contenders at the Tony Awards, the musical Ragtime. Here's Mo Rocca.
Well, I mean, the Gilded Age had a lot of problems, but they did know how to build.
Yeah, they did. They did. They really did. Beautiful.
For Tony Award nominees Brandon Uranowitz, Casey Levy, and Joshua Henry, the Morgan Library, built by financier J.P. Morgan at the turn of the 20th century, represents the grandeur of the Gilded Age.
Do you all think that this period in American history lends itself especially to drama?
Yeah. There was just like a lot of change happening.
Yeah.
And I think with any change comes conflict, and with conflict comes drama.
That drama is what drives the revival of the musical in which the three star, Ragtime.
People call it Ragtime.
For people who don't.
So this is a show about three different families in pursuit of the American dream. You have a well-to-do white family, a Jewish immigrant family, and a black family from Harlem.
Know the show. What do you tell them Ragtime is about?
I would say it's about three distinct groups of people coming together in America and the way that in their individual pursuit of the American dream for themselves, the way it changes someone else's pursuit of their American dream.
Pursuing their American dreams are Mother, played by Levy, a wealthy suburban matriarch.
Make them hear you when they hear you.
Coalhouse Walker, played by Henry, a successful ragtime pianist.
Christian and I are going to try to see this.
And Tate, played by Uranowitz, an immigrant from
the way
Eastern
she copied
Europe.
Micah, thank you for the gifted. Rain, thank you for the 19.
The original production, starring Brian Stokes Mitchell and Audra McDonald, opened in 1998. Sunday Morning interviewed its creators, including the late writer Terrence McNally.
People love Ragtime.
This show is very much a return to the tradition of people singing about big emotions, primary emotions. It's a very noble show. It's a big story. It says, here's my heart.
I think that's one of the big successes of this book and this story is that it catches people at their extremes.
Well, when he is old enough,
he's so good.
I will show him America.
At the beginning of the show, Coalhouse Walker firmly believes in the promise of a future with the woman he loves and their infant son.
He's so good. God, I love his baritone.
One of the heartbreaking aspects of that joyous moment is we're in around 1908, right. And you're like, wow, how can this black man and woman be so hopeful about what they don't see?
That hopefulness is conveyed in the show's best-known number, Wheels of a Dream, sung by Henry and Nichelle Lewis.
On the wheels of
Joshua, were you familiar with Ragtime? Was this sort of on your wish list?
Yeah. In 2002, when I was at the University of Miami studying musical theater.
Nick's in the lead if we care. We do care.
It was one of the first cast recordings I came across. I remember being in the music library listening to Wheels of a Dream. And I remember thinking, I want to be a part of epic storytelling like that. I want to be one of those performers that makes people feel deep feelings.
Make them heal when they heal.
Working with writer Terrence McNally to adapt E.L. Doctorow's novel into a musical were lyricist Lynn Ahrens and composer Stephen Flaherty. While studying at a music conservatory, Flaherty was in a ragtime band.
We had a terrible name. It was very long. It was called the Fleeting Moments Waltz and Quick Step Orchestra.
Oh, try saying that 10 times
I
fast.
know. We played the music of America from 1890 to 1920. So I had all of this music.
Here's what I will say about Ragtime. So it's definitely... It's one of those shows that the music is some of the best of all time. And performers give like life-altering performances, and it brings out true star power and some of the best in the business who have starred in Ragtime. But it's definitely one of those shows, I would say, that is like lived up in a kind of I don't see color type of way, where it's not really an honest, authentic look at this country in this time period with these three separate families, one of whom is a black family in Harlem, one of whom is a Jewish immigrant family. So definitely like a romanticizing, feel good kind of fictionalizing, but the music is so good.
At my disposal in my DNA.
Meanwhile, Ahrens got her start writing for the beloved 1970s educational kids series, Schoolhouse Rock.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect...
Yeah, it's very...
union.
That's Ahrens herself singing the preamble to the Constitution.
Did that get you thinking about America in a way that informed the work on Ragtime?
I'm sure it did. Great American Melting Pot, for instance, you know, my grandmother came from Russia, da-da-da-da.
A satchel on her knee. My grandfather had his father's cap he brought from Italy.
Okay, this shit slaps. Yep.
It talks about the immigrant experience. It's very close to Ragtime in theme in a weird way. It started preparing my heart to talk about those kinds of stories, yeah.
Both Ahrens and Flaherty feel that this revival is resonating more deeply with audiences.
We've worked together for so many years, and we've written so many shows, but this one, it's its third time on Broadway, and this one I think is the most emotional of all.
You know, the first time around, it got decent reviews. This time around, it's unanimous raves.
Yes.
Is that just about the performances and the direction, or is it maybe about the show? Maybe it was ahead of its time, or what? What is it?
I think it's all of the above.
All of the above, absolutely.
I think at this particular time in our country's history, we're about to turn 250 years old. And just to do this particular piece that's about what does it mean to be American, and it really examines that.
Casey Levy and Brandon Uranowitz see parallels to today's world.
I think why Ragtime is having a moment right now. You know, our world and our country, it's very fractured right now. And the themes and the stories and the characters in Ragtime are represented out in the street.
I play a Jewish immigrant from Eastern Europe, but I think so much of the immigration story is speaking to people right now because of the immigration issues happening in our country literally at this moment.
The show was written almost 3 decades ago and set more than a century before today. But for director Lear de Bessonet, also a Tony nominee, Ragtime isn't the least bit dated.
Ragtime, for me, allows us to reconnect with our deepest feelings about the actual love that we have for this country and how deeply we want it to achieve the promises that it set out to, even if it has not fully achieved them yet. And that we are still believing in hope that isn't pretending that everything is okay. It's holding the pain, but it's moving forward in hope.
I guess I'm trying to kind of wonder here if also let me pull up Joshua Henry winning. I'm like, is this show winning because the music is so good it's impossible to ignore, or is it because the kind of message of it, which is depending on what community you come from, not feeling very honest? Is it that people just are kind of desperate? The popularity of Ragtime having sustained over 30 years, and then this musical being revived right now and winning some Tonys last night. I don't know. It's the same reason movies like Green Book win Oscars. Yeah.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Even the black guys like, why is this black family so hopeful this time period?
Broadway League and the American Theater Wing for this incredible
Joshua
award
Henry
and
is
all the
so good, though. But again, it is one of those shows that has offered some of the best musical roles to black performers, like Audra McDonald, Joshua Henry, who just won. It's the music is so gorgeous, and it's so it's some of the best for black performers on Broadway, because the role is such a great start for black Broadway artists, but also puts us in a very specific role. I remember Lupita talking about this. Yeah, I think this. Yeah, depending on if you are black or not, you probably have maybe some more nuanced feelings towards this. But that's enough. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Is there anything else I wanted to mention? Because I do have other stuff I want to cover. I don't really trust you to leave, so you have to stay here. Okay. Okay. All right. Oh, what was I reading? I was reading this. Yeah. Okay, so we talked about Death of a Salesman. Accepting the second of 2 Tony Awards he'd win for writing the score and book of Schmigadoon. Cinco Paul pointed out a troubling trend. His show was one of just 6 new musicals last season. That is not enough, he said. We need more new musicals on Broadway, but there's a reason why Broadway musicals are an endangered species. Money. Since COVID, only 5 musicals have recouped their investment, and the price tag of mounting these shows has only grown. Schmigadoon, which won Best Musical, reportedly cost $15 million to stage, while its main competition for the prize, Lost Boys, was capitalized at $25 million. Yet if Broadway wants to keep drawing crowds, it needs to offer its signature razzle-dazzle. After all, as Lauren Michaels, one of the producers of Schmigadoon, put it, sometimes singing, dancing, a lot of jokes, and a happy ending is really all you need. And mayhaps we need to return to that because the price tag of these shows has ballooned to just astronomical heights. Leslie Manville, who made her Broadway debut at 69, joins a long line of British acting titans to be embraced by New York's theater community despite spending most of their careers on the West End. Her performance as Jocasta in Oedipus showed people on this side of the pond what they've been missing. She delivered a 10-minute monologue that had audiences mesmerized. And she was rewarded with the Best Leading Actress Tony, joining fellow Brits like Maggie Smith, Judi Dench, and Vanessa Redgrave in the winner's circle. Smith and Dench never returned to Broadway after winning their Tonys, but Redgrave was lured back twice. Here's hoping Manville follows Redgrave's model. Broadway's biggest night was loud, proud, and unapologetically queer. Performances by nominees like Rocky Horror Show, which featured action star Luke Evans in fishnets and a thong, and Cats the Jellicle Ball with its voguing LGBTQ plus dancers, were enough to give Stephen Miller a stroke. And one winner after another used their time at the microphone to praise the theater industry's history of providing refuge for people who have been ostracized or others. Some of the night's biggest cheers were reserved for Cats, the Jellicle Ball's Queen Jean, who became the first openly transgender person to win a Tony when she accepted her prize for Best Costume Design of a Musical. Let's pull up her speech, which we went over yesterday, but... Tony.
We are here for the legacy of queer people, trans people. We are taking up space in ways. We have to take up space. We have to shift the paradigm. So I just want to say thank you all so much for this incredible honor. The world right now is deeply, deeply combating so many ailments. And we know as a society that when we come together, we can make real, permanent change. We are here for the legacy of queer.
Wow, first openly trans woman to ever win a Tony Award. Shouldn't it be transgender woman? I saw someone say there have been a few non-binary people have won Tonys before, but she's the first openly trans woman to win a Tony Award. Okay, y'all. We are gonna shift gears away from theater, away from Broadway, and over to the LA mayoral race, also the governor's race. We do have some updates here, namely Spencer Pratt. It's Jover, dude. But also Tom Steyer. It's not looking good. I think it's officially over for Steyer as well. I think I saw that right before I went live. So Nithya has made it to the runoff, but Steyer has not.
To the moment when President Trump abruptly ended his exclusive interview with Meet the Press, as Kristen repeatedly pushed back on his false claims that the elections are rigged, including in California, where the votes are still being counted right now following last week's primaries. The winners have not yet been called in the race for governor or Los Angeles mayor. We should note California relies heavily on mail-in ballots, which contributes to the slow ballot counting. President Trump is using that to sow doubts about the result.
Hold on. Let's watch this one, actually.
All right, we have an update in the race for LA Mayor. City Council member Nithya Raman has surpassed Spencer Pratt in the latest drop, now with 27.1% of the vote.
That's right. While Pratt is currently at 26.7%. That's a difference of about 3,000 votes.
CBS News has already projected incumbent Mayor Karen Bass to make the general election. So joining us now is John McGarty, contributing writer at LA Magazine. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Jamie and Sheba.
You know, we were talking to you on election day, which turned into election night. Now it seems like election month. But on election night itself, Spencer Pratt looked like he was headed to the runoff. Now Nithya Raman has passed him after a series of updates. Talk about why these results shifted so much and why there's so much conversation about why this is happening right now.
Absolutely, and that is the key conversation and a great question, Jamie. The basics is that on election night, we were in the equivalent of the third quarter of the NBA Finals, and the game doesn't end.
I like that everything just comes back to the NBA Finals.
Until the fourth quarter. There were about 1.3 million votes counted at that time in the county of Los Angeles, about 1.9 million now, not all of them within the city. And what happens, and we talked about this before, is that as time goes along, history has shown us.
Does Pratt need a ride out of LA? Yeah. Remember, Pratt said if he loses that he's leaving. So
that the early votes tend to be more conservative, and the later votes tend to break more for Democrats and progressive
the bus
candidates.
schedule,
And that's
just need to ride
precisely
out.
what's happened with Nithya Raman. Spencer Pratt was ahead by 40,000 votes after election night. That has moved down. By Friday, he was up by 20,000. By Saturday, he was up by 7,500. Now Nithya Raman up by 3,100. It's the votes are being counted.
Right. And let's say that because the votes are still being counted. There's still hundreds of thousands of ballots left. Is there any realistic path left for Pratt, you think?
Mathematically, there is always a chance, but most everyone who I've spoken with does not think that that is like.
Yeah, unfortunately, in California, because we take so long to vote, I mean, these bozos already claim fraud anyway. There is... It doesn't hold any water. Of course, it's bullshit, but it just allows even more suspicion because people are now going, well, why did she seem so upset on election night? Huh? I'm like, because even people who are running for office are, either are faking that you're going to win like Spencer Pratt, or you're like everyone else, trying to get a read on if the internal numbers are matching up with the votes coming in, because Spencer Pratt exited election night in a good spot, like better than people thought he would. But she did not concede.
We're following the path that we've seen before. Reflect real quickly to 2022. Rick Caruso was up ahead of Karen Bass by 5 points on election night. A week later, Karen Bass overtook him. Karen Bass ended up ahead in that primary by 7%. So there are about 350,000 ballots left to count in the county, probably about 125,000 in the city. Most people think that these continue to break for Nithya Raman.
Okay, so if that happens and she advances, where do you see Spencer Pratt's voters actually going? Do you for Bass or for Raman, or just not voting?
That is the question that everyone is asking, and you can spin it a lot of different ways. Some people will say Nithya Raman, she is so.
Karen Bass is like going right wing on the homeless issue, so I can see Spencer Pratt voters going, you know what? I like the way she talks about homeless people. It reminds me at least more of Spencer than what
far to the
Nithya
left,
says.
that there is no way a Spencer Pratt, more conservative voter, would ever go for someone that progressive. You can say that, well, gosh, Spencer Pratt voters are not going to vote for Karen Bass. Spencer Pratt kept saying that she was the one who burned his house down. There's a thought that they may, as you just referenced, just sit home and not vote at all. But we have to remember, 5 months is a long time. The world can flip upside down. We've seen things change a lot, and that will also be a different electorate. More Democrats will come out. It's going to be a totally different race than what we're thinking now. This is a reset.
Yeah, it is going to be very interesting to watch. Also making it interesting, President Trump has weighed in on the race and called it a rigged election during a dramatic...
Honestly, I think a lot of Pratt voters are just not going to vote.
...interview on NBC's Meet the Press. Does this national attention, you think, change the dynamic of heading into November?
I think it changes the dynamic in the short term, and it continues to focus attention. And to be very clear, the LA County Registrar, Recorder County Clerk, Dean Logan, has adamantly denied that there's anything nefarious going on, has explained the process that we've been talking about of the late count. So I think this is going to bubble up and continue to be a topic of conversation for a while. But ultimately, it's going to fade. It is going to be Karen Bass versus Nithya Raman, who's better for the city. And on a national scale, the conversation, I think, is really going to shift to other elections, including who's going to be in control of the House of Representatives. That's going to matter to the nation a lot more than who runs LA for the next 4 years.
Yeah, those midterms are coming fast. John, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate seeing you.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Sheba.
Thank you, John.
Turning now.
Will DSA-LA change and recommend Raman? Do you mean, are they going to formally endorse? I have not seen anything yet. I mean, I don't know. I think because the internal votes were split initially with Ray versus Nithya. Was she on the DSA voter guide? She was, as well as I thought she was recommended. I thought they were both recommended. Sorry, let me. Okay. Well, DSA has not endorsed a candidate. Ultimately, we recommend a vote for Raman to ensure a left candidate with a proven track record of delivering for working class Angelenos. This is not an endorsement, though. So they clarified that they recommend but are not endorsing.
This is the dumbest conspiracy theory I have ever heard, because the Democratic establishment and Karen Bass wanted Spencer Pratt in the runoff. They don't want any part to do with Nithya Raman. Why is that? Because just take a look here. Okay, mayor runoff polls, Bass versus opponent versus Pratt. Bass would have crushed Pratt by 18 points. That's what the polling showed. Look at how she does against Nithya Raman, on the other hand. Raman is ahead by 4 points. Bass has a real race on her hand if, in fact, Raman is the one who advances. And, of course, the Democratic establishment is backing.
Of course, the establishment wanted Pratt because the establishment also wants Hilton. The establishment wants Hilton over Steyer.
Karen Bass, but versus Spencer Pratt.
Ted Lieu just...
This is the favorability. You have more evidence.
Real race on her.
Ted Lieu just came out and said
her hand,
as such.
if in fact Raman is the one who advances, and of course the Democratic establishment is backing Karen Bass, but versus Spencer Pratt, she was crushing him. She wanted to face Pratt. She wanted nothing to do.
Also, Spencer Pratt wanted to go up against Karen Bass.
Raman. That's why these conspiracy theories, simply put, make no sense, people.
When we talk about favorability, you have more evidence here.
Yeah, this is more evidence. You know, why is it that Nithya Raman's doing so much better than Spencer Pratt would against Karen Bass? It's simply put, Raman is actually decently liked by LA City voters. Look at this. Okay, Nithya Raman, +5 on the net favorability rating. Karen Bass, way underwater at -22 points. You basically just...
Yeah, also, the establishment is more scared of progressives. Which, yes, Nithya, we've talked about the issues with her, but she is still to the left of Karen Bass. They are more scared of that, more adversarial than they are to the right.
Need someone who's half decently well liked to be favored, or at least have a real shot against the incumbent Karen Bass. Spencer Pratt, on the other hand, look at that. He's even less liked than Karen Bass. He's 32 points underwater. Karen Bass doesn't want to face Nithya Raman.
Karen's already attacking Raman for supporting campus encampments. She didn't. She's trying to boost Raman. How is she still running on a pro-Israel, anti-Palestine platform in the Big 2-6? I mean, many such examples.
She would love
of
to face
Dems
Spencer
doing that.
Pratt because, simply put, she's managed to find someone who's more unpopular than she is, and she's quite unpopular.
This is really interesting. You look at these numbers, one of these things is not like the other
No.
here. She is definitely more like
This
than
guy
the
is-
other two. Now, the president here. Obviously, the president is looking at this race. He's all kinds of upset about it. He presumably wanted Pratt here.
Yes, Republican wants a Republican. News at 11.
Angelinos, what do they think about the president?
Yeah, okay, this is the other
Very emotive,
thing. The
lots of
President the United
attitude.
States is such a drain on Spencer Pratt. I mean, hello, okay, Los Angeles City voters. Trump's net approval rating in the city of Los Angeles is about 55 points underwater. I mean, the idea that
He
a
seems like
Republican
he's just
could
gonna
be the
lose
mayor of
his
New York when
mind.
the president of the United States has a net approval rating 50. Yeah, it's so difficult. 55 points underwater, and then registered as Republican. Just 15% of the voters in the city of Los Angeles are registered as Republican.
Holy
55% are
Toledo.
Democrats. Spencer Pratt was facing a mountain in order to win, and so Karen Bass and the Democratic establishment knew that there's basically no chance a Republican could be the next mayor of New York. The only way she could lose is if she goes up against another Democrat, and you see it right here, very simply put, up by 4, no wonder, and that is where the results right now are moving. A Rahman versus Bass general election, which I said at the top, an absolute nightmare for the Democratic establishment and Karen Bass. They would have much preferred Spencer Pratt.
A lot of discomfort, no doubt, this morning
Yes.
in and around the establishment in Los Angeles. Harry, and thank you for explaining that so well.
Thank you, my friend.
You're an outstanding human being.
You are
Harry
even more
out.
outstanding.
All right.
He's giving Craig from Parks and Rec. Get this guy a drink. Come on. Okay. I want to let me get governor's race. I think DDHQ called this governor's race.
To the moment when President Trump ab-rigged on social media, including last night when he posted, quote, "Has anybody been watching the crooked election going on in California? 2 great Republican candidates are being cheated, and so is America." The president's baseless claims about election fraud led to this heated exchange with Kristen. And we should note the interview, which was conducted on Friday, was interrupted multiple times by the sound of heavy rain. After 50 minutes, as you'll see, the president ended the interview.
This was
Listen to me.
classic
There's
Trump.
tremendous evidence. There's nothing
What's
but
not been
evidence. The
presented in
election
a
was
court of
rigged.
law.
It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's
President,
happening again right now in
you've never
California.
presented evidence
It's
that
happening
the
right
2020
now in
election was
California.
rigged.
Right now, look at what's
Where's
happening
the
in
evidence
California.
to that?
This is the opposite of like soothing rain, putting on rain sounds to go to sleep to calm yourself down. But instead, it's Donald Trump's
It's
The
4
Republicans are
days.
doing
crashing
well in
out.
In California, no, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close to
That's how
coming
they-
up
that's
with
how
it.
they count
You know
the
why they're
votes in
doing that? Because
California.
they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
All I
that?
have to do is look. All I have to
But
do is
that's
look.
not
And I
evidence.
listen. And I listen to people. And let's see what happens.
But, sir, that's not evidence.
You think it's appropriate
That's how they
that they
count the votes.
He can't go in the rain because he'll
appropriate
melt.
That they have an election, and 5 days later, they're nowhere close to picking a
State
winner.
and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging
They're
the
crooked.
votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote
They're
in
crooked,
California.
just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well, you
continue.
play right into their hands. then.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid.
Let's
you play
continue.
right into their hands.
See, if I'm a journalist and he's saying that, I'm like, no, you're crooked. Nope, you're crooked. Everything he says, I just say it back, but it's actually
Answer with
true.
this rap. You know that these elections
No, you
are
know.
rigged. Your
You know they're
network
not
knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got
here we go again.
94% bad press.
But Mr. President,
You know why I
you've
got
never
that?
presented
Because you have no
evidence.
credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about.
Mr. President, you're a real fucking baby, aren't you?
I want to talk about Todd.
You have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about.
elections
You
in
went
this
to
country,
court.
we're like a third world country.
But, sir-
Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and
But,
Meet
Mr.
the Press is crooked,
Mr.
and so
President-
is ABC and CBS and CNN.
Mr. President, do you need your
one-sided
diaper
crooked network.
changed?
Let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
And then he just steps on the
I
mic.
traveled I know. I
I've sat in the
traveled
rain
all the
with
way
you
to
for an hour,
Wisconsin.
on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press, because you know what?
Mr.
A
President,
country can never be
we
great
traveled
with a dishonest
Listen,
press.
we
Come on, let's
traveled
go.
all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
He is.
We should note you can watch Kristen's full interview with the president.
Such a petulant little, just petulant child.
And read the
Except
entire
he's
transcript online at
an old
NBCnews.com. NBC News senior reporter Jane Tim, who covers election administration issues. She joins me now. Thank you so much for joining us, Jane. I want you to walk us
Yeah, he just straight up rage quit that interview.
through where things stand with the ballot counting, and has there been any evidence of actual election fraud in California?
Like, honestly, at this point, I know these journalists think they need to be professionals and be civil, even though it's like you got Fox News and these bozos over here or anything. But at this point, just start treating him the way that he treats everyone else. Okay, because you're not going to get any respect. He's going to behave the way that he does, rage quit these interviews, step on the mics, insult you. So just start insulting him back. Just really, really be the bully.
So we'll definitely just start there. There is no evidence of election fraud in California. California is notoriously slow for how they count elections. They vote mostly by mail, as you said. And they also are a really, really big state with incredibly voter...
Like, if he's already going to be rage quitting this interview, right? He's not going to... He's decided it's enough. He's like, I'm out of here. So just... sling some insults on the way out.
Permissive policies. So if you mail your ballot before the election and it arrives a week late, as long as the postmark's there, it's still going to count. If your signature doesn't match, you have...
Sleepy Dan. Sleepy Dan. God, also look at the difference in color in his face and his hands. Oh my God. How is he not dead yet? It's, you know what? He really shows that he's just an old man. Who is this? That's Jim Dolan, owner of MSG and his good buddy and an absolute paranoid fucking freak, and has this massive surveillance system and stalks trans women. Yeah. It's just... Ew. Are they both sleeping? I don't know what's happening with Jim Dolan over here. And then Trump trying to pretend he's not asleep. Do you know how many people would kill to be there right now? Yeah, let's get you to bed, Grandpa. Come on. Come on, Grandpa. They're just resting their eyes.
22 days to fix it. The idea is that California has done these policies with voters' access in mind, trying to make it as easy as possible for voters to get their ballots.
Okay, Grandpa, let's get you to bed, and you just toss him over the cliff. That's where the bed is. Yeah, this way, getting you to bed, Grandpa. Right over the edge.
Counted. So those are some of the reasons why it takes so long to count ballots. But I do think the most important thing to remember here is that it's just a ginormous state. Los Angeles has more absentee ballots than the entire state of Florida did in their 2024 primary. So it's just a whole lot of ballots to count. And while this is all going on,
toss you out the
there's a sort of a perfect storm of conditions that encouraged this and made this sort of more fertile ground for this kind of misinformation. And Trump's what are routine election fraud claims just sort of take hold. Because while, we're used to the ballots taking a while in California and feeling really slow, we also had this really competitive governor's race where people were holding.
Just have one journalist say the people of Wakanda love him. What does he plan to make a visit? So his dumbass would answer like it's real. You'd immediately get fired, but you'd expose him for being an absolute dumbass. I mean, just we know he's a dumbass. Like there's no revealing him to be a dumbass. That's why it's like just start bullying him back. just start slinging insults at him. And you know what? Maybe he would actually, because he responds this way, he treats journalists this way when they are when they're not doing those things. So I almost wonder in like a reverse Uno type move, if you just start acting Trump to Trump, if then he sits down and then he's like, oh, okay, now we're going bar for
not
bar.
to their ballots later than usual, not mailing them 2 weeks before election time, at which point election officials could have gotten a head start on processing those ballots. We had people holding onto them until the last day, dropping them off in drop boxes, so that there was so many ballots showing up on election night with a mountain of work for election officials to get through.
Those are such important points, Jane, especially the point about how this is actually not unusual.
Wait, have we watched this one? Me when I'm trying to pretend like I'm not getting booed by a stadium of people. Just, is he falling asleep though? No. Is he sleeping standing up? He's soaking in the praise. Yeah, is it something where it's like it's a boo, but as it goes into his ear, he hears it as a yay. This is so embarrassing. Oh. He thinks they're saying woo. Or maybe he can't even hear anything at this point.
Usual for California, especially those of us who have covered these elections for a long time. We know it notoriously takes California a long time. But give us some context here about how typically long it does take to count ballots in California.
Yeah, so we actually dug back into the archives with the decision desk today, and we have a full screen we can put up here showing sort of how long we're used to these ballots taking, where it takes sometimes 10, maybe 20 days to count all of these ballots.
Like, what's it
They've
like
made recent
being your
changes in the last few years to try and shorten this period, because I do think people want these results to come quicker.
Desires.
But with 80% of people voting by mail, it does take more time. And
these journalists, I know it's like the whole access journalism thing where and like, oh, but I have to be professional and like blah 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 blah, you know. Fuck that. Okay. Stop even trying that anymore. Just get so nasty and personal with it.
In case people don't maybe understand why it takes more time, when people go to the polls in New York, I vote in person. So that means I go and I stand there and they check me in to see who I am, verify my identity in that way, and then I fill out my ballot and then I put it through the machine. That whole process is what takes more time if you're doing it by mail. So if you do it by mail, if I vote by mail in New York, they're going to verify my signature.
Knicks are currently down 10. I'm telling you, if they lose, it is because Donald Trump is there.
This is how they do it in California too. They're going to make sure that I'm a registered voter, that I haven't moved or become ineligible.
The people of New York City might actually collectively take out Trump if he has cursed the Knicks. If he ruins their 2-win streak, it may be the start of the revolution. Yeah. Uh-huh. There may be a riot.
in some way, and then they're going to verify a signature and make sure that matches with my signature on file, and then they're going to check the ballot and run it through the tabulator. So that's why
I don't see a benefit of the president attending the Knicks game tonight. The Knicks are on a 13-game playoff win streak. If they lose, they'll blame it on the president. And if the Spurs come back and win it all, New Yorkers will never forgive him. Yeah, when conservatives are saying what I'm saying, where they're like, if the Knicks lose, New York is going to try and kill Donald Trump.
It takes more time for election officials to actually go through
the numbers.
And Jane, a federal prosecutor in California says his office has opened multiple investigations of California elections. What are those investigators actually looking for? Do we know why they opened these investigations? And what is the status of those probes?
Yeah, so I reached out to that office today to sort of ask some more questions and got a pretty curt response that I'm on the mailing list and they would let me know. I was particularly interested to know why we know about these investigations because the Department of Justice policy, of course, is that we don't inform people of ongoing investigations, that it's, you usually hear about an investigation when charges maybe are brought or they find something wrong. But for now, they are not commenting on that. But we also know that Department of Justice office, that U.S. Attorney's Office, did debunk one of the most popular conspiracy theories about this election, the idea that there was a vote total upload that included no votes for Spencer Pratt in Los Angeles. We know that vote update was split into two by the Associated Press, I think, and that is why it sort of looked a little funny for about a minute online, and people are just so closely watching this that they found that suspicious. But again, this is just the way California counts their elections, and it sure feels slow, but it is how it is right now.
Jane, thank you for that incredibly important context and reporting.
Have to smoke 5 bowls in between counting each small batch of votes.
As for those undecided races in California, where the top 2 finishers will advance to the general election, Republican Steve Hilton, who was endorsed by President Trump, is now in second place in the race for governor. Democrat Javier Becerra has already advanced to the November general election. And in the race for mayor of Los Angeles, city council member and Democrat Nithya Raman now leads Republican reality TV star Spencer Pratt for second place.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So the LA mayoral race was rigged against Spencer Pratt, against MAGA, against Republicans, but the governor's race is not. So somehow they figured out just how to rig the numbers in LA without it affecting Steve Hilton's placement. That's how that works. Okay. Yeah, those two things definitely work.
Incumbent Mayor Karen Bass has already advanced to November. Steve Kornacki is tracking it all and joins us now from the big board. Steve, so where do things stand in these key California races, both the race for governor and the race for Los Angeles mayor?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you're talking about, the ballots are...
Yeah, if Dems are so good at cheating, why isn't Kamala present? Why do Republicans fill both chambers? See, these are questions that there's simply no need to ask them, because that then gets into basic logic.
Still being tabulated here, and there are still quite a few of them left here. Not quite 3/4 of the expected vote tallied statewide in that governor's race. But again, we've already projected Javier Becerra will be one of the 2 finalists here in the general election in the race for governor. And there is the difference between the leading Republican, Steve Hilton, and the other leading Democrat, Tom Steyer. You can see there a difference of about 300,000 votes, again, with more to come. But what we've been seeing over the last couple of days here, as these updates have been coming in from around the state, Steyer has not been closing the gap at the rate he wants to be doing it. It has been getting tighter between him and Hilton, but so far it's not been getting tighter at the pace Steyer would need it to overtake him with a number of ballots that are left right here. So again, that's another one of these features here, talking about these late counted ballots, these late arriving vote by mail ballots that can come in up to a week after Election Day. Something we've been seeing here, something we are accustomed to seeing in California, is those votes tend to be very, very Democratic.
Here's the update at 82%. So there's about over 200,000 vote difference between Tom Steyer and Steve Hilton. And yeah, it's over for him. It's over
friendly votes here. And so that's one of the reasons we sort of expected that both Becerra and Steyer would improve their position as more votes have been counted. That indeed is what's happened. Becerra cementing the top spot right here. Steyer moving up on Hilton. But again, he has not been moving up on him at the pace he needs to if he's going to overtake him. So the possibility here that you will have a Democrat and a Republican as the two candidates in the general election here in the race for governor of California, certainly extremely, it's a lot more likely I think that's going to happen than you're going to have two Democrats right there. In the mayor's race, again, you mentioned it there, the big development again, these late counted, late arriving vote by mail ballots being so overwhelmingly Democratic. We have seen the two Democrats here now cement to take these lead. Karen Bass has cemented her lead here. The incumbent mayor, she'll be one of the two finalists. And Nithya Raman moving up very dramatically in the last 3 or 4 days here to overtake Spencer Pratt there for second place. Again, about 83% we think of the expected vote in L.A. But again, just the way these updates have been coming, as overwhelmingly Democratic as they've been, there's no indication that momentum for Raman is going to stop and that she's not going to continue to increase that margin there over Pratt, potentially setting up a Bass-Raman general election in the race for mayor.
And Steve, compare for me how long it's taken to count ballots in California versus some other states.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is like anytime it gets close in any race in California, since they've gone to the system, you're looking at days, you're looking at weeks.
I also just cannot stop laughing at the fact that Republicans are like, yeah, give us the British guy. Give us the British national. They're all about, they're all about America means born in America. American means actually born in America, except in the case of Steve Hilton.
Just give you a sense here, though, two other.
I like Pratt's energy on homelessness. Then you'll love Karen Bass.
The other two largest states, Texas and Florida, looking in March, Texas had statewide primary. We're looking here, time to get 3.
You do know that Spencer Pratt, according to Spencer Pratt, is homeless. So he is part of this group that he has thoroughly demonized as being all super meth addicts. Also, I will tell you that Spencer Pratt is a drug addict too. So he is homeless and a drug addict. The two things that he keeps bringing up in regards to the biggest problem with Los Angeles, but his solution is not to offer anything like long term that treats people as human beings. So
3/4 of the vote. How long does it take to get 3/4 of the statewide vote reported out? Available to the
he
public
wants to
in
melt
Texas
them
in
down
March.
for energy.
It took 3 hours and 42
He's like, let's
minutes.
just put him in labor
in the 2024
camps.
presidential election in the state of Florida, it took 40 minutes to get to 75%. California, as we just showed you, is not quite at 75% of his expected vote.
His energy is a targeted quantum energy laser beam. Really love Spencer Pratt's energy on homelessness. I'm not kidding, though. You'll love Karen Bass then. So,
and we're now on the day 6 since Election Day. So again, these are different systems. There's, as you were just talking about, it's heavy vote by mail in California, not in Texas. Florida's kind of split between. They've got some vote by mail. They've got in-person Election Day voting. They've got early voting. But keep in mind, one of the justifications for that California system, they say, is, turnout. It's all about prioritizing turnout over efficiency in reporting results. Well, 2024 presidential election, the statewide turnout, the voter turnout in California was 71%. In Florida, it was 79%. So in the state that has the more efficient system there, it also had higher turnout rate.
Steve Kornacki at the big board. Thank you.
We thank you for watching.
Hey. Not trying to glaze, but I think you would be a great mayoral candidate. Well, at least I'd be up on Steve Kornacki's big board. Sorry, we're saving her for God Emperor. Okay. I'm sorry. I just have to briefly read this because this is the most Sean Penn shit. Don't ask Sean Penn for a selfie, even if you're a Holocaust survivor. You might think to yourself, sorry, what? But actually, this is pretty classic Sean Penn. One thing about Sean Penn is he is consistently an asshole. So Sean Penn says things that people think Chappell Roan says. It's like Sean Penn actually says these deranged things that people ascribe to Chappell Roan when she's like, hey, don't stalk my family. Don't show up at my house. That's not being a fan. That's being an obsessive, scary person who is pretending to be a fan. And they're like, wow, Chappell Roan says that her fans should all kill themselves. And it's like, no, that's actually what Sean Penn is saying. So here's the line. While he was leaving the Golden Globes, Penn was bombarded by people wanting selfies, which again made him never, ever want to attend a public event with more than 8 people. People should not do selfies ever with anyone. It's bad for you. It's bad for everyone. It's a soul sucker. It's the Holocaust grandmother and her 6-year-old paraplegic wheeling over. It's a hard no. Like, has that happened? And that is what Sean Penn is referencing? Or did he just pull that out as like, oh, you think I'm going to say yes to a selfie if it's a Holocaust grandmother and a 6-year-old paraplegic? Think again. He won the Oscar this year. Why didn't he say that when he met El Chapo? Well, that's because El Chapo is not a Holocaust grandmother with a 6-year-old paraplegic grandchild. Didn't he torture Madonna? Oh, Sean Penn has always been terrible. Always. He was also married to Robin Wright and was terrible during their marriage. So, yeah, the only selfie he'll take is with Zelensky. A lot of people were pointing out that he had taken a selfie with Owen, what's his name? Cooper, from The Kid from Adolescence. And that seems to be the last selfie that Sean Penn has taken. So something happened. He physically, he has a history of being physically and verbally abusive. Just all around a real asshole. And now he's saying like, hey, Holocaust grandma, which this is maybe one person in this world, if that, a grandmother who survived the Holocaust and is still alive, who has a 6-year-old paraplegic grandchild. He's like, if you're the one person who this describes, get the fuck away from me. Right? It's so oddly specific. That's why I'm like, has this happened once to Sean Penn? And he's like, never again. Right. And they're also It's not just that it's a Holocaust grandmother with a 6-year-old paraplegic grandchild who's wheeling over. It's that they're fans of Sean Penn and are coming over to ask for a selfie. No, he basically just named what he, conjured up very sympathetic figures, probably the most, some of those sympathetic you can get here. Holocaust grandmother, 6-year-old paraplegic grandchild. And he's like, and even if that's the case, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. I'm Sean Penn and I'm saying no to selfies. You see the Fox News tweet about Trump? USA, USA, USA. Chants erupted through Madison Square Garden during Game 3. Oh, chants? What kind of chants? You know, I noticed that they only included a clip where you can't hear the booing. Now show this one. Just inject it right into my veins. All right, what's happening with the Knicks score? Let me check in. Let's see what's going on. There are, for less than 5 minutes, Knicks are down. Knicks are down 8 points. Spurs are at 108 to Knicks 100. Ooh. Trump did this. I'm telling you, y'all, I'm telling you, New York City is going to blame Donald Trump, as they should. They are going to jump Trump. This is the Trump effect. Are we winning? Are we winning yet? Is this winning? Trump's version of winning where you just lose. Trump's version of winning where winning equals losing. Escape. Yeah, it's going to be the Escape from New York remake. They're going to have to like helicopter him straight out of MSG. There are probably people who have no opinion on politics who are Knicks fans. And if the Knicks lose, they will now become the most anti-Trump people in this country. What the fuck? He better not fucking show up tomorrow. I don't think that's the plan. I think he was just supposed to show up for game 3. Okay. Let's talk about what's happening here with Obsession. Did you watch the fans in the park booing him? There are so many clips of him being booed. They're outside too. Just saying, Republicans showing up to games has always been a jinx. Look at Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is, yeah, he is radioactive. Per the White House poll, here are the guests in Trump's suite: Jim Dolan, Chris Dolan, Kai Trump, Vanessa Trump, Steve Witkoff, Lee Zeldin, Boris Epstein, Dan Scavino, Aaron Scavino, Doug Burgum. Bergs is there? The Burginator? Sean Duffy, Michael Boulos, Stephen Chung, Walt Nauta, Margot Martin, Natalie Harp. God. Who the fuck is Vanessa Trump? His daughter-in-law. One of the Trumps, married to she's ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr., who just got married again. But that is Kai Trump's mom. I don't know. They're all horrible. There's a clip of them getting booed a different time with Witkoff up front and center, as it's obvious he like withers and then walks away. Yeah, I mean, it's like New York has been electric since Mamdani was elected, doing all the things he's doing. You got the Knicks in the championship, and then Donald Trump comes in, and it's like the worst possible person you can have in this moment right now. Damn, Trump skipped his son's wedding and now hangs out with his son's ex-wife. Probably can't even tell them apart. He doesn't know. He's like, probably gets their names wrong. Yeah, we watched this one. Okay. Alrighty, let's talk about this. We got less than 4 minutes. 4 minutes in the game. Still, same score. Spurs are up by 8, which means, wait, so there's a game on Wednesday and then there's a game. So, okay, if the Knicks lose tonight, then they play Wednesday. Then when is the next game after that? Friday? Saturday. Okay, so we won't be there. It's oh, right. They go to San Antonio then. Ooh. Man, so they basically need to win tonight to have the possibilities of winning in New York. Knicks in 4.
¿Cómo se dice fuck the Knicks?
Oh, Maya. Oh, you better watch out, girl. You better watch out. Not even being the animal queen can protect you. Winnie's a Knicks girly, for sure. For sure. Okay, so why is this drama? Why is this controversy? So Obsession, the movie that everybody's talking about, everybody's seeing, has made near $175 million. And recently, the art director on Obsession posted this. How much money I made on Obsession. I've debated this for a long time. I've been holding a lot of weight over the past 2 years since the production of Obsession, so I'm just going to say it as it is. Obsession was made for $750,000 and is projected to make $250 million. Here's how much I made. $300 a day as art director. This came out to $6,741.36 after taxes, no mileage. I did know the rate beforehand and I agreed to it, but at this point I was living paycheck to paycheck. This is the reality of most filmmakers, especially those who work below the line. We become a line in the budget sheet to keep as low as possible. There were also crew in Obsession who were volunteers getting paid in gas and mileage. This wasn't even paid on time, so to make a $250 million grossing film, some of these amazing people had to come out of pocket to work on set. I kick myself every single day for not flipping this production. I was encouraged not to, and I naively listened. As is the case for most low-budget productions, everyone has to wear many, many hats. Though my official title is art director, I was also PA, set dresser, graphic designer, background actor, driver, swing, and buyer. I was doing runs for the art department. Again, no mileage. I was shopping, loading, returning while the rest of the crew were on set. Thank you, Jeff Barker, for helping me during those times. I had to wrap Bear's house that was left an absolute mess without water on Crafty's left behind. I shopped an entire location, Ian's house, and loaded the truck the same day for shoot the next day, which also happened to be an overnight. It took such a physical toll on my body that I kept losing weight, weighing 90 pounds during this production. I say all this to finally have my peace. I know this is bigger than Obsession or Curry and his team. It's not about that. I know this is even bigger than the film industry. If you feel called to have this discussion with me, please do so. I'm willing to be wrong because I know I'm probably missing information and my perspective is just a drop in the bucket. Except it's not, because literally Brady Corbet said the same fucking thing when he was going through award season for The Brutalist. Same with Sean Baker. These two men who people have not gotten angry at like they have towards this art director, because how dare she talk about the larger problem here. She is not blaming Curry Barker. She's not like trying to shit on the movie. She is talking about the larger issue of how people are not compensated for their labor. They are not enjoying the fruits of their successes. Obsession is going to make $250 million. And the people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into that, many who worked for free because of it being low budget, many who, even if they got paid, like you take the job because you're working paycheck to paycheck, should enjoy the successes of this film. And so you had like Brady Corbet talking about how he's broke as a director, that like you don't make money as a filmmaker when you're doing independent movies. If you were a crew member on Obsession and feel called to share your rate, maybe we can turn a tide in the film industry. All she is saying here is, I am sharing how much I got paid, to be transparent here and to talk about, hopefully with other people who have similar experiences, that to talk about this so we can like advocate for change. Also, the Knicks are going to lose. There's less than a minute left. Donald Trump, it's over. It's so over. Jalapeno Poppers, thank you for the 24 months. Kaylor, thank you for the 16. Rajova, thank you for the 2. Girl, you better run. You better run, because the curse of Donald Trump means the curse of Donald Trump, who's always telling us that we're winning when in fact we're losing, has once again tonight shown that to be the case. You in danger, girl. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Later in her post, she called on others from the production who may relate to her position to speak up. Maybe we can turn a tide in the film industry. Like, that's the call to action here. Trying to turn a tide in the film industry. Trying to have these conversations so that the people who provide the labor are included in the profits. Elsewhere in the post, she detailed other members of the Obsession crew as volunteers. Okay, so we just read her whole post. A representative for Barker did not immediately respond to the Rap's request for comment. The reaction online has been so strong as the post picked up steam Friday. Many of the comments of Choi's post shared their own indie production stories and commiserated with her experience of low pay, low reward. One thing people don't understand about the film business is it's feast or famine. You may not work for weeks or months, so that money has to be saved and amortized. This is Joseph Kahn's take, because a lot of people, especially like, this whole thing has reminded me that there are a lot of people who are hypothetically Marxist, who are hypothetically like leftist and believe in collectively sharing in the profits. And then when it comes to a situation like this, they're like, what's her fucking problem? She's being so stupid. This is something that is so good for her resume. She should have just shut the fuck up and used this to get herself work, where it's like, that's not a guarantee. And also, that's not the point here. Yeah, they love to parrot theory, but can't conceptualize a contemporary application. Like, when it is put into practice, that is when they fail. That is when they fail to apply this in practice. Like, oh, you should just be thankful that the film that you worked on is so successful that you can then parlay that into other work. Where, hey, part of the problem here is that for most people in the industry, you have to work is still, it doesn't matter if you like worked on something that was incredibly successful. Jobs are still not guaranteed. And so one of the reasons people took this is because work is not guaranteed. So they're taking what they can get. And anyway, that's like not the fucking point. It's not the fucking point. Like other projects, as if this all this work is just readily available to them and how mergers right, exactly. Okay. One thing people don't understand about the film business is it's feast or famine. You may not work for weeks or months, so that money has to be saved and amortized. The obsession crew lives in LA, so they're paying the highest rents, highest gas, highest utilities, highest insurance. To be fair, they keep voting for it, but that's another story. I mean, that's what we've been talking about with this election. A 14-hour day doesn't account for 1 hour of traffic each way. Indies can routinely go 12 to 18 hours. Art department is an especially brutal crew. They are the first to get on set, the last to leave. No set, no shoot. Then crew heads don't really get paid for their time. Reading the script, free. Thinking about it, free. Talking with the director, free. Creative discussion, creative obsessing, detail planning on weekends, free, 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 free. The time on the clock is not the time on the job. $300 a day on an 18-hour day before gas or other expenses is $16 an hour. The off-the-clock work is double that, so now $8 an hour. Now save that to survive the next actor-writer strike or these mergers, which is reducing jobs. Is it a livable wage? Sure, in Iowa, if you're a mid-level stripper, not a film crew in Los Angeles. The irony is I thought the art direction in Obsession is great. Lots of really cool details, like the cat clock literally caught my eye before this post ever came up. Okay, so others were critical. I hate that last sentence. That is kind of typical Joseph Kahn, where it's like, wow, you're so on it, and then you use that as an example, and that just feels unnecessary. Yeah, that's one of those. Same with the like voted for this, where it's like, okay, we're not going to equate the way that the vote shakeout has been in Los Angeles with like directly these laborers in LA. You know, you don't. I see what you're saying there, but also what is happening with this person in chat? What's going on? I'm going fucking deaf. You're always too loud. Everything's too loud. Okay, I'm gonna time you out for a week because I don't know what's happening. Seems like you're going through something. So you can turn the volume down, but I don't think that's. I think there's some happening. So, okay. Oof. What does she mean when she regrets not flipping the production? So generally this means making a non-union production union. So trying to unionize on set or push for this to be a SAG union project. Others were critical of the art director, suggesting she wasn't using the Obsession success in her favor and instead seemingly burning a bridge. Do not cut every connection you have to the filmmakers. Put out tweets about how you wish you'd shut down their production and complain about the rate you agreed to. See, dude, like this guy, Luke Barnett, this guy's I think, lefty. And I'm like, what are you doing here, man? The Obsession art director post, man, what a choice. 1 year total experience. Only credit pre-Obsession is a single short film. Sign on to a low budget indie. Agree to rate. Movie explodes. You're suddenly the art director for the most talked about film of the year. If this ever happens to you, let me give you one piece of advice. Embrace it. Use the credit to fight off offers. Get a BTL agent. Turn those difficult 3 weeks into an incredible career. Do not cut every connection you have to the filmmakers. Put out tweets about how you'd wish you'd shut down their production and complain about the rate you agreed to. Do you know how many indies I've done as an actor for $240 a day? A fucking lot. Every single time I know what I'm getting into, and I hope to God it turns out well and leads to another opportunity. I cannot even imagine getting cast in Obsession, then putting out a career-ruining post. Well, why should it be a career-ruining post? Huh? See, you're seeing this not from the perspective of workers. You're seeing this from the perspective of the gatekeepers in the industry, of like the people who have power and going, well, you fucked yourself. You fucked yourself. I cannot even imagine this and then putting out a career-ruining post instead of trying to leverage it into more work. To clarify, because this took off a bit, I do think having a general crew pool on indies is a great way to handle this. Oh, okay. So isn't that what she was saying as like, let's have this conversation? This is not about Curry Barker. This isn't even about Obsession. This is about the industry. Huh? Take 5 to 10% of producer pool and divide it equally between anyone who works a certain amount of days or something, just in case this happens. That said, she didn't work for free. She had one short film credit, was paid $6,700 a month to work on an indie. It's pretty normal. Do you understand, man, that normal doesn't mean right? When you have rising costs, when you have like, this is not enough pay. This is not enough pay. And when a film has made $250 million, people need to be compensated. They need to share in the fucking profits. Holy shit. Oh my God. People just continue to do the work for capital owners, for studios, for people who are the ones that have all the money and all of the power, and they don't have to like, they have people do the work for them to convince people that like, hey, this is normal, so how dare you say anything about it? Come on. She took a normal paying gig on an indie film, her first film credit, and it succeeded in a way 99% of films don't. Do you get that shit does not change because of people being, them being cattle? Being cattle. Come on. You just keep saying that's totally normal. That's totally normal. We're talking about the fact, though, that there is still like that. Normal does not mean not exploitative. And when you have a film that has made now or will make $250 million, something needs to be done here to compensate people who worked on that project. But also, this is about more than one film. This is about like the relationship between laborers and profit. Bing bong Nixon 5. Nixon 5. That's right. Others, meanwhile, believe that in such instances of wild success, studios behind indies like Obsession should have a reward system for the low-wage artists who brought it to life. I 100% believe that studios and producers should give every person who worked on the Obsession set a bonus, since it literally made 250 times its budget. Bosses used to give their employees bonuses when they had a particularly good quarter, year, whatever. This should be the same. Yes, sharing in the success, sharing in the profits. Because you know who's getting that money? Focus Features. Focus Features. And that's who people like this guy who works in the industry, who's an actor and a filmmaker and a lefty, is saying should actually get all the money here. This movie wouldn't exist without their labor. And instead, it's like yelling at people for advocating for not just themselves, but for all workers to share in profits. How are you a lefty or pretend to be a lefty? And when there are instances here to put this into practice or to show that you are principled, you are anything but. And the thing is that the industry is on shaky ground and a lot of people are not getting consistent work. So no, there's no guarantee. There is no like, oh, you worked on this successful film, so you can parlay that. That's not a guarantee. People need to be paid. They need to be paid fairly. They need to share in profits. My best friend's a production manager, sometimes runner in the Seattle area. She's told they treat crew as so replaceable because if you don't do it, they'll find someone who will take less an hour and sleep in their car close by to be on a film. It's sad how it all is and has made a career she loved into something so hard on her and her family. Yeah. Right. Where people take jobs because they need to have stuff on their resume. The hope is that, okay, if I work on this for free or for little money, then like I don't have anything else right now. I have no other offers right now. And so then it just continues this system. This dude should be expressing solidarity, yet he's doing just another version of paid and exposure. Right. Where it's like, do you understand that this system hurts you too? You are an independent filmmaker and actor. Okay. What are we doing? We will work in horrible conditions because it's the only job available right now. And it's amazing to me how many people are attacking this person. And as I said, let me pull up Brady Corbet.
Years because both my partner, the Brutalist co-writer.
Brady Corbett, the relentless visionary.
Brady Corbett is living paycheck to paycheck. What is this, Alan?
Yes.
I have a story here from
Okay.
this is from The Wrap. Brady Corbett says he is living paycheck to paycheck, and the Brutalist has made him $0. I've spoken to many filmmakers that have films nominated this year that can't pay the rent, the director tells Mark Maron. Wait, Mark Maron is still doing that podcast?
Yes, he is.
I thought he was an actor. Alan, if you would read the crux.
Yeah. So this was during Brutalist when he was on doing press for the Brutalist, and he was talking about how filmmakers are not paid to promote their films, but they have to do so much promotion and it's exhausting, and he had to fund it himself. So even after making the film, he was still working 7 days a week, not getting paid. That despite the film's critical success, multiple Oscar nominations, that he was living off a paycheck from a job 3 years prior. Same thing happened to Sean Baker. Sean Baker has talked about this too. And he said that because of all this unpaid work, he's had to take side gigs. So like as he was promoting his Oscar nominated film, he was having to direct commercials in Portugal. He was ghostwriting screenplays just to pay his rent. Same thing happened with the Squid Game creator for season 1. That's why he did the second season. Yeah. And so what is the difference here in these guys talking about the problem with working under this system and then with this art director talking about this?
Of the story, please.
Sure. We'll just go down here to the quote. I just directed 3 advertisements in Portugal. Corbett shared on a recent episode of WTF with Mark Maron. It's the first time that I had made money really in years because both my partner, the Brutalist co-writer Mona Fastfold, and I made $0 on the last 2 films we made. Yes, actually 0. We had to just live off a paycheck from 3 years ago. Corbett explained that he took the commercial directing job over.
Like the fact that financiers, that producers who have a stake in the film get paid and get paid a shit ton before the person creating the work makes any money.
Despite his busy award season schedule, because he could not pass up the financial opportunity of it. Obviously, the timing during an award campaign and having to travel every 2 or 3 days was less than ideal, he commented. But it was an opportunity that landed in my lap and I jumped
So if
on
you
it.
paid attention to
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't blame him for that, but I mean, famously, a lot of people who have been nominated for Oscars they're not exactly. You think that everybody in Hollywood is rich and a millionaire? Most people are working people and have to keep working to, make a living. So this doesn't surprise me, and it's a reflection of where the industry is going now. You're going to hear more about this. And
Conclusion, rent is too fucking high. Wages have not grown with inflation, not even close.
this movie, by all accounts, made money. It was made for less than 10 million. It's still in theaters, just came out digital. So this is not surprising at all. So what do you think, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's the state of Hollywood right now. The people at the top make the most money than the people at the bottom. As actors, unless you're a name, you're not going to make that much money. And then we've certainly talked to people. Obviously, we talk to filmmakers, indie filmmakers, and it's not like there's a salary that comes with making a movie.
It's freelance. It's freelance. You do a job, you get paid.
Do you know that Markiplier gave his cast and crew 2 times their salary for Iron Lung because of the success of the film? That was not, as far as I know, in the contract. That was his decision he made. Markiplier, with the success of Iron Lung that he fully financed, that he edited, directed, wrote, starred in, financed, spent like 3 fucking years of his life, or however long it was, just straight working on this. He gave the cast and crew a bonus.
You're not constantly working, you're not making money. That's just the way it is. That is, the industry is a freelance business.
Also, everyone being like, "Oh, you got to build your brand." Blah blah. Why does everyone have to have a fucking brand? This is a person who works in the area of art direction. Why does she have to have a brand? Why do you have to build a brand? Why do you have to not be compensating your work fairly because you're building a fucking brand? What is that?
You are an at-will employee, and when the job ends, the money is gone.
For all the hate she gets, Taylor Swift also gave everyone on her Eras tour a massive bonus after it became a record-breaking tour. Yes, and but it basically is like, it's discretionary.
And you get paid to do the job, and that job is, if you're a director, to be fair, that's like minimum a year, 18 months. And for the big spectacle movies, years. Like Marvel movie, you're working 2 to 3 years on a movie. But for an indie movie, which this was an independent film, he did the job and it was done. So now he's got to go do other, work for hire gigs. So
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's really for indie films, this is especially true in indie film, but it's the producer role. If you're a producer, you don't get paid until that movie comes out and starts making money. And I think Brady Corbet, I would assume he's a producer in this movie as well. And look, it's a long movie. It's not exactly the greatest title in the world. The marketing is very difficult for it. And so, yeah, he's going to make $0 doing it. And that's what, that's the artist. That's the life of the artist. What contrast that with the Academy and the Oscars? We're going to make millions of dollars thanks to The Brutalist. And Brady will get the gift bag. And I'm pretty sure he's paying for his own trip to LA. That's what he gets out of The Brutalist, while the Oscars will get millions out of it.
I recommend this. You're going to think I'm crazy. 2 things. 1, sell the gift bag. And 2, a friend of mine was going to.
Oh my God. I mean, we will never be free. We will never fucking be free. I've been reading about the outburst of the art director for Obsession. Okay, now we're calling it an outburst rather than a well thought through comment, being transparent about the pay on a film that's that's Focus Features' most successful film of all time. Reading about the outburst of the art director for Obsession, I can't help but agree with this guy's comment on Instagram. It perfectly captures the situation. Does it? You took no financial risk and accepted the job at the rate that was offered. For every success story like Obsession, There are tens of thousands of independent films that never recoup their initial investment, while crew members still get paid for their work. Okay, so what we're talking about here, though, is fair compensation. So on a lot of independent films, crew members might get paid, but they are still taking a lower pay because it's an independent film and because there's just being a smaller budget up front. They are told you're not going to, you're only going to get paid X amount. So it's not a matter of like, oh, you're not taking the financial risk, so therefore you should not complain here when there is profit, because without you taking the risk, that's the capitalist mindset. That's the I took the risk, me, so I get the profit. No, we're talking about being fairly compensated for your labor. Sharing in profits, having a profit sharing model. If the film lost money, no one expects you to return the $6,000 you earned because the financial risk wasn't yours to bear. That was the filmmaker's investor's risk. What's more unbelievable is your expectation of sharing in profits from money you didn't invest or risk losing. I wish you had thought this through more carefully. This is almost 3,000 likes. I wish you had thought this through more carefully. You went from being the art director on an extremely successful film, someone whose phone would likely be ringing with new opportunities that you'd never have had you not been lucky to work on this movie. You're just so lucky. You're looking a gift horse in the mouth. You don't even understand how lucky you are. To someone who may have seriously damaged their professional reputation, nobody wants to hire an ungrateful liability. Can you not see the value you gained from the movie's success? Would you prefer you were never a part of it? If you want the chance to score big, then dream big and take big risks yourself, but don't resent the people who did. These are the type of people that they absolutely would turn around and fuck everyone else over were they to get into the top of the hierarchy. It's like, as soon as I'm a billionaire, then I'm going to do what these billionaires all do. As soon as I'm in charge. Oh, God. Even if you're going to bootleg the movie being a smaller budget means that it was a smaller risk for the financier, meaning that the extra profits should be shared amongst everyone who worked on it. It's actually worse than bootlegging. It's me, Lord mindset. It's like Focus Features did not take a massive financial risk. They like either way, this is still the capitalist defense of, well, I'm the one taking the risk. And so the workers, they get paid no matter what, but I don't get paid unless it does well. So the risk means I am the one who gets the reward. Rather than seeing this as without the labor, there is no product. Without the labor, there is nothing. There's nothing without the labor. No financial risk. I hate when people use this argument. Every job I take is a financial risk. I'm putting my time, blood, sweat, and tears into my work that could not pan out, that could end up on layoffs or business closure, leaving me in a bind. Yeah, I mean, I see this kind of stuff. I see how many people are yelling about this art director.
We should start doing finishing touches now.
I was going to finish at 9.
Okay.
We leave at 9.
Okay. Is that going to give you enough time to finish everything up?
Yeah. I just have to put stuff in. I packed earlier today.
So everything is packed.
Yeah.
Every single thing.
It's either it's packed or it's in the state of just needing to be put in my bag. But it's packed. Like no, that was a bad example. No. Like all my makeup and stuff, my hair's like I put it all together. It just has to be put in my purse. But then all my clothes and stuff, it's all packed. 9 o'clock is when I'll be done, and then I'll be ready.
I'll give you 8 more minutes, and then you start winding it up.
I am packed. I packed earlier today. He didn't pack earlier today. I packed earlier today. It would take me 5 minutes. Oh my God. Nitrosity Man, thank you for the 4 months. This lounge is amazing. It's just missing Caroline Kwan and Will Neff. Oh my God. I am packed. I don't like going to the airport earlier than I need to. Austin Show. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself though. But it couldn't be me. I do not like going to the airport earlier than I have to. I don't go in a panic. I have figured out how to not go in a panic, but to not get there super early. Hogan, thank you. Santaz, thank you for the 10 months. Mrs. Jean, thank you for the Prime. Christopher, thank you for the 16 months. Okay. All right. Okay. You'd go to the airport if you could be pampered like this.
To the Oscars at all this year, one thing that was really clear is that there's still
Also, what risk Curry Barker's 2026 indie horror hit Obsession was fully financed before its distribution by Focus Features and subsequent bidding war with A24. The initial investment came from Capstone, which provided the roughly $750,000 to $1 million production budget. They had Focus Features and A24. See, the risk being, though, that that's who provides the money. That's who has the capital. Those are the capitalists. Those are the people who get the profits because they're the ones with the money. And so the ones who provide the labor that then provides the profits for those who have capital, they don't get, there's no risk there, is how they think. When in reality, yes, the risk for people who do not own capital is that in this case, for example, you are taking this job hoping that you can get another job afterwards that pays you or pays you better, that work is tight, so you're taking this job. The risk is fucking dying. The risk is not being able to be in this industry because you cannot afford to live on what you're being paid. The risk is putting your faith still in the hope that you'll be able to get an amazing, high-paying job to keep yourself afloat, and then you got to find your next one.
a big appreciation out there for original filmmaking. The breakout winners like Anora and The Brutalist were indie movies much more than they were massive Hollywood blockbusters, which is great news for anyone interested in non-superhero filmmaking. But when you dig a little bit deeper, you start to find out that the reality is quite a bit darker, because even though this year's winners were dominated by scrappy indie productions, it turns out that the filmmakers behind them are not
privatize the profits, socialize the
doing
losses.
all that well financially. Success in entertainment is supposed to kind of go hand in hand with making money, so how is it possible that directors can succeed at the very highest levels and still be broke? And if those people are hurting, then what hope does that leave for the rest of us trying to make a living with cameras? So in this video, we're going to dive into why America's best filmmakers are broke, what that means for you and the future of the industry, and how a surprising lesson from Leonardo da Vinci might give you some peace of mind. Okay, so right off the bat, what am I even talking about? If you don't follow industry news, why am I claiming that some of the best filmmakers in the world are broke, and what does that have to do with you? Well, first off, I'm not claiming anything. I'm just repeating what several high-profile filmmakers have been saying recently in public, most notably Brady Corbett, who made The Brutalist, and Sean Baker, who made Anora. Between them, they took home 8 Oscars, which is pretty insane for films whose combined budgets are less than a single season of some of the TV shows I've worked on.
The Brutalist, Daniel. Anora. Sean. The Brutalist.
Anora.
And both of those people used their platform, or at least a chunk of the attention they were getting anyways, to say the same thing. Filmmakers today are struggling to survive. On the Mark Maron podcast, Corbett actually said he made literally $0 from The Brutalist despite all the critical attention. And it was such a surprising thing that Maron actually stopped and asked him to clarify.
Both my partner and I made $0 on the last 2 films that we made. So.
Zero.
Yes, actually 0. So we had to just sort of like live off.
The other argument that I'm seeing around the Obsession art director that is so maddening is this lack of experience, right? Where you actually should not be advocating for what is seen as too much money because you don't have the experience. Because that's something that these are the growing pains we all have to go through. Okay. So not having all this experience means you should not be fairly compensated. The classic internship argument. Yeah. And this idea, especially in the film industry, because it's so competitive and because it's so like every industry under a capitalist system is exploitative, but like the exploitation of the film industry is one that people have like not only not denied, but have said this is how it goes if you want to have a career in an industry that so many people want to have a career in. Okay. Do you know how many people would be dying to take that job? Do you know how many people would be lining up to work for free who would pay to take this job? It was like when I was getting paid $15 an hour to be a trainee at Sony, and I was doing so much fucking work. I was doing executive level work because the executives weren't wanting to do this work, but they needed to have that work done. So it was like I was making these creative decisions that were above my pay grade and above my experience level, but I was still fucking doing it. And so I was told, ooh, you're so lucky you're even getting paid $15 an hour, because they used to not even pay in these positions. And it's because of pesky, workers advocating for getting fucking paid and not getting paid and not having to work for free that now you're getting paid.
A paycheck from 3 years ago. And obviously the timing during an awards campaign.
The student loan argument where people who don't want to get rid of student loans are just mad they had to pay them.
And having to travel every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, it's like
was less
I
than
had
ideal.
to go through
He also
this.
made it very clear that he wasn't alone in that experience when he said,
I've spoken to many filmmakers that have films that are nominated this year that can't pay their rent. I mean, that's a real thing. Yeah, you're not paid to be promoting a film.
It's not that hard to figure out he's probably referring, or at least partly referring, to Sean Baker here, as the two are friends, and Baker has also been very vocal on his indie money issues. In one interview, Sean said, indie film is struggling right now more than ever. I personally do not have children, but I know for a fact that if I...
Yeah, also the other thing is that people see this as, oh, you're getting paid $300 a day to do this one job, when they know full well, especially when you work in the industry, it's not just one job. You're doing 10 fucking jobs. You are doing so many jobs, but you are being paid for one job.
I would not be able to make the movies that I make. And basically, he's saying here that for what he's earning on his films, he would find it hard to support a family. At least that's how I read that. So what's going on here? Because aren't you supposed to be able to get rich when you do well in show business?
You sure about that?
Well, there's a couple reasons that we'll get more into, but the short version is that to make a film from start to finish, like these guys did, takes a long.
Citing Brady Corbet in this context makes you feel conflicted because he's openly talked about keeping his budgets low by filming in Hungary with local crew members so he wouldn't have to pay them U.S. union rights. Like, certainly I think that's a point to consider. I think more so I brought this up because this art director on Obsession, my point being, she is not the only person who is bringing this up, but also the way that she's being attacked is very different from how I saw people responding to Brady Corbet and Sean Baker talking about being broke. Now, of course, there is the perception that anybody who's a known name, how could you be broke? Because anyone whose name I know in Hollywood has to be rich. Just even the even thinking that living and working in Hollywood that you're rich. But the responses to this woman have been so revealing of truly how far we are from real collective action. They were praising them for suffering for their art, for saying she's complaining and ungrateful. And this is what I mean by like so many hypothetical Marxists, so many ones who will say things like, yes, workers sharing in the profits. Yes, collective action, solidarity, blah, 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 blah. Billionaires bad, capitalism bad. And then in instances like this, they show their fucking asses. It's like, actually, you couldn't be you can be further in practice from what you pretend to believe in.
Long time, like years. And while there might be a decent director's fee or something attached to the project initially, there's so much unpaid labor that goes into promoting and finishing a film that most people don't even realize, and as it stretches on for years, that paycheck just doesn't last. Corbett directly said he was—
And I think, though, actually the Brady Corbet situation shows that people who experience this themselves then don't ensure that this is not being done to other people, that like they're not trying to then turn around and screw over other workers, like perpetuating it. And what we see is that this is the case, that it's like that guy who I talked about earlier, he's an independent filmmaker who was saying, you know, does she know how lucky she is to even have gotten paid that on an indie set? Like there's zero solidarity. It's like when an 80 said over the walkie, anyone remember we used to work 20-hour days and sleep 2 hours in our car, and someone replied, they're all dead. Yeah, and people also be like, do you know how bad it used to be? And it's like, that is not at all where we should measure, how we should measure things. And it's like, oh, so it used to be worse, which means shut the fuck up about the problems that still exist, the system that still runs as the system has run. It's just that through collective action, through unionizing, through people advocating for labor rights, for fair pay, that changes have happened. Why the fuck do you think any changes have happened? Why do you think when you go, do you know how bad it used to be? It's not as bad as it was, as it used to be. Where do you think that has come from? But also people used to be able to buy houses. People used to be able to, like, on a middle class salary, used to be able to afford a home and a family. And what we're talking about too is an overall, like the material conditions of folks that have overall worsened due to the rising costs of living, of unaffordability rising and not matching a rise in pay.
was so busy doing promotion for free that he couldn't take any other jobs and basically didn't earn anything for 3 years. On top of that, the economic model of the past is pretty much dead. It used to be that a film's profits were based on an initial infusion of cash from the theatrical release, but then also there'd be a second round of profit that would come later through DVD sales and rentals and stuff like that. But as we know now, streaming services have completely torpedoed that model, and filmmakers haven't quite figured out how to make that money back. Like it used to be, you took a big
Okay,
But you can't stay here. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. Take me home. We're going to New York. It's
I
time.
know. I'm gonna say goodbye. You're right. You're right.
Austin's been at the airport for the last hour in the lounge.
I know. Okay. Okay. Can I say goodbye to everyone? All right. So that's it. Gotta go. Gotta go fight in New York. We will be in New York by tomorrow. Not sure what the stream schedule will be yet, but we'll all be IRL streams. We're going to do fun IRLs, right?
I just lined up a dinner with Alvin in New York. We're going to do an IRL stream with Alvin.
Oh!
He's going to take us to a Michelin restaurant.
Alvin. Yeah, no, I know Alvin Zoo. Do they know Alvin Zoo?
Yeah.
Not this. Yeah, Alvin Zoo, who's an incredible food YouTuber. Oh my God. Okay, I'm coming. Okay, Hogan, thank you for another gifted.
No! I thought we were having a nice time.
Oh my fucking God. I can't concentrate on trying to end my stream here. You're scaring Farley. I'm literally coming. Okay, everyone. We will see you in New York tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining. Farley is going to be concerned as soon as he realizes that we are leaving. In New York, baby. The Knicks in 5. I'm going to send you to Maple Takes. Thank you for joining me tonight. Solidarity for reals. Not just in theory, in practice. Good night, everyone. Why is he nailing it? Good night. See you in New York. Bye.